At the edge of the savannah, where the golden grass bleeds into a thorny twilight, shadows begin to stir. They do not roar. They do not announce their arrival. Instead, they watch. A coalition of young males, unclaimed, unproven, untamed, creeps along the fringes of a territory not yet theirs. Their manes are not full, but their eyes burn with stories yet written. Born into solitude, shaped by survival, these are the rogues. And in the wild, they are not just wanderers, they are a warning. The African wilderness is a realm of rule and ritual, of prides and patriarchs. But every law here is written in dust, and dust can be swept away by the wind. Tonight, the wind carries the scent of change. In the lion world, exile is inevitable. Young males, once the playful heirs of a pride, are cast out by their fathers before maturity. Not out of cruelty, but instinct. The king must rule alone, and challengers must find their fate elsewhere. These rogues were brothers by blood and bond. Not all from the same mother, not even the same pride, but drawn together by the ache of rejection, thrust into the wild with nothing but their claws, their cunning, and the vast unknown. One of them limps slightly. His name is Toka, a fighter even as a cub. Another, darker in coat, called Maru, has a stare that disarms even the boldest hyena. The largest of them is Kila, a brute of a lion whose silence speaks more than any roar. They have no home, they have no pride, but they have each other, and in the wild, that is enough to begin a revolution. Survival sharpens the edge of youth. The rogues learn quickly how to steal a kill from cheetahs and escape before the hyenas close in, how to track prey from a distance, biding time like ghosts in the dusk, how to heal from wounds without whimpering, because pain is a teacher, and the weak do not graduate. They scavenge from elephant remains left days ago by vultures. They sleep in turns, ears twitching at the sound of leopards or angry buffalo. They spar daily, not out of aggression but preparation. Their muscles harden, their coats darken, their confidence grows. For every day they live, they edge closer to what they were meant to be. Miles away beneath the acacia thickets, another story unfolds. The Mbali pride, led by two older males, Rondo and Jafir, has ruled this territory for over 5 seasons. They are large, experienced, and possess the heavy-maned glory of lions at their prime. But time is no ally. Rondo limps from a past battle with nomads. Jafir, once a mighty hunter, now stays near the core of the pride, letting his lionesses bring the meat. Their days are peaceful, too peaceful, and peace in the wild is often the calm before collapse. One morning, as mist kisses the savannah and the sun lifts its golden head, the scent of foreign males drifts through Mbali territory. The lionesses sense it first. They freeze during a hunt, sniffing the breeze, eyes wide and alert. The kings are summoned, they roar, a sound meant to declare control, to push intruders back with echoes alone. But the rogues do not run. They listen, then they roar back. It is not a challenge, not yet. It is a promise. Days pass. The rogues do not rush in. They are not fools. They study from afar, tracking the movements of the pride. When they hunt, where they sleep, which lioness nurses the cubs, they map the empire of their enemies without ever crossing the final line. At night, their eyes gleam from the tall grass. The Mbali kings patrol more often now, their roars more frequent, their tempers shorter. The fear of youth is not the sound of footsteps, it is the silence that stalks behind them. A week later, the balance begins to tilt. A lioness goes missing, her body later found mauled near the northern border. Whether it was hyenas or the rogues remains unclear. Then a group of cubs vanished during a moonless night. Their mother searches, calling through the dark, but only silence replies. The pride grows restless. The kings grow weary. And in the distance, the rogues watch with eyes that no longer wait. They calculate. They prepare. For them, there is no turning back. As dawn breaks over the savannah, the sun finds 4 silhouettes moving with purpose. Not in hiding, not in hesitation, but in hunger. The rogues step out from the margins of exile into the heartland of kingship. Each paw print a chapter of change, each breath a declaration of destiny. They are no longer shadows, they are storm. And this is the beginning of the takeover. In a land governed by primal law, there is no birthright for the exiled, no land to inherit, no legacy to claim. For the rogues, survival is not a gift, it is a conquest. Their bond was not forged in lineage or tradition. It was born in hunger, in wounds that never fully closed, in nights when the stars watched them sleep with no mothers beside them. Strangers once, now they are a brotherhood beyond blood. Each scar on their bodies is shared among them. Each breath they take is a testament to what they have survived. Together they have become something more than nomads. They are the lawless, the forgotten, the dangerous, and they are ready. Toka leads with his teeth. He was the first to be cast out, the first to taste exile's cruelty. He bears the instinct of a fighter and the burden of having seen too much too young. Kayla, ever silent, follows like a shadow, broad, unshakable, a wall of muscle wrapped in calm. He rarely speaks, but when he does, it is to end argument, not start it. Maru, with eyes sharp and calculating, is the strategist. He watches birds fly before deciding where the wind is turning. And then there is Indari, the youngest, still gangly, still uncertain. He walks with them because he has nowhere else to go. But even the smallest lion in a brotherhood of rogues can be a storm when the moment arrives. They move through the savannah like wind, sometimes seen, often felt, always feared. In the early hours before dawn, they drink from hidden water holes. At twilight, they follow buffalo trails in silence, not to hunt but to observe. They are learning the rhythm of the land they plan to take. Every pride has its pattern. Every king has his weakness. Patience is not a virtue to them. It is a weapon. The heart of the grasslands. The balance of power is delicate. Each pride is a kingdom, each king a tyrant or guardian, depending on who tells the tale. But even the greatest kings were once rogues. Every reign begins with war. The Brotherhood knows this. They are not merely waiting for the right moment. They are shaping it. One night, under a veil of stars, the 4 lions come upon a carcass. A zebra freshly killed, the scent still warm. But they did not make this kill. The drag marks lead off toward a kopje, where another coalition, a pair of older nomads, rest in uneasy peace. Toka lowers his head, eyes narrowed. No growl, no movement, just stillness. The others feel the shift in the air. They do not speak, but they agree. This kill is not a meal. It is a message. With the quiet precision of born hunters, they advance. The older nomads never see them coming. The clash is fast and violent. Dust rises. Claws flash. One rogue is bitten, Kayla, on his flank, but he does not falter. Toka lunges for the throat. Maru blinds with a quick strike to the eyes. The elder males retreat, wounded and humiliated, dragging their pride away from a kill that no longer belongs to them. The rogues do not celebrate. They eat. Blood stains their muzzles, their coats darkened with the taste of dominance. It is not a pride they have taken, not yet, but it is territory. Territory speaks. Territory tells the world, we are here, we are strong. The Brotherhood retreats before dawn. They do not linger, they do not need to. In the days that follow, their legend grows in whispers. Hyenas tread more cautiously in their presence. Leopards avoid eye contact. Even vultures turn an extra circle in the sky before landing. They are no longer nameless. They are known. But in the vastness of the wild, fear is never enough. It is control they seek. And control requires conquest. One afternoon, as heat shimmers off the golden plains, the rogues stumble upon a lone lioness. She is old, ribs showing, her eyes clouded by time and dust. She does not flee. She watches them as they approach, head high despite her frailty. Maru hangs back, and Dari stares. Toka steps forward, uncertain. The lioness does not flinch. She speaks not in sound but in silence, in defiance. Her pride is long gone, killed or scattered. Her body is weak, but her spirit stands tall, and in her gaze, the rogues see what the kings once were, lions who chose to stand, even as the world crumbled. They pass her without harm, even in lawlessness. There are rules only the soul understands. As the days stretch and the nights tighten their grip, the rogues grow leaner. The dry season is near. Prey begins to vanish into distant valleys. Waterholes shrink into mud. Hunger gnaws, and with hunger comes desperation. But desperation is not always defeat. For the rogues, it becomes fuel. It drives them into new territories, deeper into lion country, where war is not just possible, it is inevitable. They begin to test the edge of the Mbali pride again. A single roar, a scent trail left too close, claw marks on the bark of a marking tree. It is not enough to challenge the kings outright. Not yet. But each move is calculated. A chess game where pieces bleed. Toka studies Rondo from afar, watching how he limps after long walks, how he avoids the left side when he sits. Kayla notes Jafir's temper, how he snaps at lionesses, how his patience is waning. The Brotherhood is circling. In the cold hours before dawn, when the mist lingers like ghosts and even hyenas go silent, they press forward once more. This time, they pass a cub scent, faint but real. It is not yet their pride, not yet their legacy, but the cubs, they are the future. And in the wild, to claim the future, one must erase the past. The rogue lions retreat, but their eyes blaze with purpose. The time is near. They return to a ridge overlooking the Mbali core. Wind rushes past, tugging at their manes. The land below belongs to kings, but not for long. The Brotherhood watches in silence, side by side. 4 silhouettes, 4 hearts, 1 path. There will be blood. There will be death. But in the end, there will also be a name, a pride, a kingdom, a story rewritten by those who refuse to be forgotten. The wind that sweeps across the savannah carries many things: dust, the scent of rain, the cry of distant herds. But now it carries something else, something more elusive. A rumor, barely spoken, yet deeply felt. The rogues are moving, and the land listens. The grasslands stretch wide, endless in their golden elegance, but beneath their beauty lies a fragile balance. Every creature knows its place. Every step echoes a rule long established. From the silent step of the serval to the thundering march of buffalo, the rhythm of life plays on in steady harmony. Yet, even the faintest change can ripple across this system. And now the lions at the edge, the rogues, have begun to disrupt that rhythm. It starts subtly. Herds once common in the southern plains now veer east, avoiding certain patches of land. Hyenas sniff the air and turn back from watering holes they once claimed with impunity. Elephants raise their trunks and trumpet, not at a threat seen, but one sensed. The rogues are not yet dominant, but their presence is undeniable. They move in silence, often unseen, but signs of their passage are everywhere. The shredded bark of a tree they clawed in warning. The blood of a young wildebeest, left uneaten, killed not for hunger but for practice. A trail of paw prints circling close to lioness territory, vanishing before dawn. Their campaign is psychological. They press without striking. They haunt without touching, and the Mbali pride feels it. The lionesses grow anxious. Their hunts are less coordinated, more distracted. Mothers sleep with one eye open, cubs tucked tightly against them. The kings, once confident and composed, patrol more often now. Their roars cut through the night with growing urgency, proclaiming strength and concealing fear. But the grass doesn't lie. The scent of unfamiliar males is growing stronger. A lioness named Zara, one of the oldest and most experienced in the pride, stands on a rocky outcrop one evening, gazing across the plains. She remembers a time when another coalition came, a pair of brothers who ravaged her pride before Rondo and Jafir took control. She remembers what it meant to flee, to lose, to fight back, and she knows the signs. She knows the rogues are not merely trespassing. They are preparing. Elsewhere, far from the core of the pride, Toka stands on a termite mound at dusk. His mane stirs in the wind, his breath slow and deliberate. Below, a herd of zebra grazes, unaware of the predator watching them, not with hunger but with calculation. Kayla joins him silently. Behind them, Indari and Maru stalk a trio of jackals, just for sport. The jackals escape, but not without, knowing they've been watched. The Brotherhood has become a force of nature, elusive, coordinated, increasingly bold. But even nature has its laws, and to challenge a pride as strong as the Mbali requires more than stealth. It requires a shift in the very spirit of the land. One morning, a giraffe carcass is found near the western riverbank. It has not been killed by hyenas. Its neck is broken, its flanks torn with claw marks. A kill this large, this daring, could only be the work of lions working together. The Mbali lionesses arrive first, sniffing cautiously. Then come the kings, Jafir, snarling, Rondo limping but determined. But they are too late. The rogues have already eaten their fill and vanished into the scrub. The message is clear. This territory is no longer yours alone. As days grow shorter and the heat thickens, the grasslands whisper louder. Antelope take longer paths to reach the rivers. Baboons climb higher into trees at night. Cheetahs scan the horizon before committing to a sprint. Even the vultures circling high above seem to favor the trails left behind by the rogues. The ecosystem, ever sensitive to the nuances of predator power, begins to shift. But for the rogues, whispers are not enough. They need action. They need momentum. One moonless night, Maru leads the coalition to the eastern ridge, where a small pride of lionesses, unprotected by males, has raised cubs in quiet defiance of the surrounding power struggles. They are not a threat to Mbali, nor to the rogues, but they are an opportunity to test their force, to build fear, to claim blood. The attack is swift. The lionesses fight with ferocity, but they are overmatched. One is killed, another flees. The cubs do not survive, the rogues leave as they came. Silent, swift, unapologetic. It is not conquest. It is not glory. It is strategy. Every pride they disturb, every roar they silence, adds to their legend. And legend, in the wild, is sometimes more powerful than strength. Back in Mbali territory, the king sensed the escalation. Rondo limps farther now, his strength waning. Jafir alone has taken to roaring at ghosts in the night, challenging shadows that never answer. And still the whispers grow. Lionesses talk in hushed tones. The cubs grow more guarded. Even the insects seem to fall quiet when the rogues pass. Near on a hill bathed in twilight, Toka gathers the coalition. The sun drops behind them, casting their silhouettes across the plains. 4 lions, once banished, now stand at the edge of greatness. They are not invincible. They are not yet kings, but they are no longer whispers. They are the voice rising from the grass, the breath of change that sweeps through the land, and soon the roar. Dusk arrives like a drawn breath, slow, warm, and pregnant with tension. The sky bleeds orange over the horizon, casting long shadows across the savannah. Birds fall silent. The wind stills. The land holds itself in suspense. Tonight, the wild will remember. Tonight, the rogues will strike. For weeks, they have haunted the periphery, tested the pulse of Mbali, pushed at its boundaries, unraveling its pride from the edges inward. Now the edge becomes the center. Toka stands apart from his brothers, eyes fixed on the Mbali heartland. His body hums with purpose. Every movement is measured, every breath deep. He does not speak. He does not need to. The others feel it. This is the moment they were born for. Kayla steps forward, his bulk silent on the dry ground. Maru crouches low in the tall grass, reading wind and distance. And Dari licks his lips, part nerves, part hunger. The sun kisses, the final edge of sky, and then it's gone. The light fades. The lions rise. They move like specters, low, lethal, locked in, toward the center of the Mbali domain, where Rondo and Jafir guard what remains of their reign. The Mbali kings are weary. The long nights and constant alarms have drained them. Their roars still echo with strength, but behind them lies exhaustion. Wounds that don't heal. Doubts that don't fade. On this night, they do not expect the attack. Not here. Not now. That is the rogue's advantage. From the east, Toka leads the charge, his roar shattering the stillness like a war horn. The sound tears through the air, primal and final. Behind him, Kayla breaks from the grass like a boulder in motion. Maru flanks wide, and Dari circles behind. Jafir rises first, fury in his eyes. He charges blindly into the dark. He doesn't see Maru until it's too late. Teeth find flesh, claws rip fur. The clash begins with chaos, a spiral of rage, pain, and thunderous roars that echo across the plains. Rondo, slower now, tries to defend the cubs, his legacy. But Toka is on him within moments. The older king snarls, lunges, bites, but his age betrays him. His hind legs wobble, his left flank gives. Toka meets him with fury, years in the making. Each strike is a chapter of exile. Each roar is a rejection. Turned into revenge, they tumble in a blur of manes and teeth. Dust explodes around them. Blood spatters the dry earth. Elsewhere, Kayla pins Jafir to the ground. Their bodies heave, muscles screaming with every motion. Jafir bites his shoulder, but Kayla doesn't flinch. He presses harder. Jafir's breath comes in short bursts. His power drains beneath the sheer force of the rogue's wrath. And still, the lionesses watch. They do not interfere. They've seen too much, lost too much. They know the laws of the wild. The strongest lead. The rogues are winning, but not without cost. Ndari stumbles, blood streaking his side. Maru limps, his leg torn in the early fray. Toka bleeds from a deep gash across his jaw. But none of them fall. Rondo does. Pinned beneath Toka, the once mighty king lets out a final defiant roar. Not a plea, a warning. Then silence. The old king's breath fades into the wind. Nearby, Jafir manages to escape Kayla's hold, wounded and limping. He disappears into the scrub, defeated but alive, for now. The fight ends as quickly as it began. In the quiet aftermath, the rogues stand panting in the fading twilight. The land around them lies torn, tufts of fur scattered, paw prints like battle scars etched into the soil. Overhead, vultures circle, drawn to the smell of blood and change. One by one, the lionesses approach. They do not bare teeth. They do not run. They bow their heads not in submission but in recognition. A new power rules the Mbali pride. Toka stands tall, blood still fresh on his muzzle. Behind him, Kayla watches the trees for movement. Maru sits beside the cubs, eyes cautious. Ndari lowers his head, trembling not from fear, but from everything he has just become. They are no longer rogues. They are rulers, but the throne they have claimed is built on the bones of battle. And in the wild, nothing is permanent. As night descends fully, the plains whisper once more. A new chapter has begun. The lions have clashed, and the wild has chosen. The morning after conquest is always quiet, not for celebration, but for reckoning. The first light of dawn touches the blood-stained grasslands with an eerie softness. The savannah is hushed, as if nature itself is holding its breath. Shadows stretch long across the battlefield. A single fly buzzes in the silence, circling the still body of Rondo, the fallen king. Not far away, a young cub peers out from behind his mother's flank, eyes wide, unsure whether the nightmare has ended or just begun. The rogues, now rulers, stand in the hush of their triumph. But the moment is not victory. It is responsibility. Toka breathes deeply, his mane still dusted with the dirt of battle. He gazes over the land he now rules, an empire of sunlit grass, acacia groves, hidden dens, and wary hearts. The weight of his scars presses down on him, but heavier still is the unseen crown he now wears. The Mbali lionesses keep their distance. They are not submissive, only watchful. Their pride is strong, and its survival does not hinge on the whims of any male. Toka knows this. He does not roar, he does not chase them, he merely watches back. Kayla lies beneath a fever tree, licking his shoulder wound. His eyes drift toward the cubs. He knows what must come, but still, he waits. Maru and Ndari patrol the perimeter, their bodies stiff, their minds still sharp with the instincts of rogue life. They expect retaliation, an ambush, something, anything, but none comes. Jafir has vanished. Whether dead or surviving somewhere in exile, no one knows. But his absence is a shadow in every direction. As the sun rises, so too do the lionesses. They move cautiously through the territory, testing its new limits. Their world has shifted. Their protectors have changed. But their purpose, nurture, defend, endure, remains. And that, above all, must continue. The rogues, now kings, begin their rule not with conquest, but with waiting. For days, no fresh blood is spilled. Instead, the new rulers learn the land. They walk the same river paths. They sit in the cool of the same groves. They drink from the same pools. But the land feels different beneath their paws now. Heavier. Every gaze from a zebra herd, every distant snarl of a hyena carries a new weight. Because now, they are responsible for more than survival. They are responsible for balance. And that balance is already being tested. The cubs of Rondo and Jafir, symbols of the old bloodline, continue to live under the care of the lionesses. But Toka knows this cannot last. Nature does not spare sentiment. The laws of the wild are clear. And the survival of his own bloodline demands that none of the old king's heirs remain. The moment arrives 3 mornings later. It begins with silence. Zara, the elder lioness, senses it first. She lifts her head from her resting place and watches as Toka approaches. Behind him, Kayla and Maru flank wide. Andari lingers in the distance. The cubs huddle close to their mothers. They don't understand the danger, but their mothers do. The lionesses rise, forming a wall, not with aggression, but with sorrow. Zara steps forward and places herself between Toka and the cubs. Toka pauses. He remembers her from before, the look in her eyes the night they first tested the boundary of Mbali. She had seen him then. She sees him now. No growls are exchanged, only understanding. Toka moves past her. The law must be carried out. What follows is swift, clean, necessary. By nightfall, the Mbali pride is reborn. The last threads of the old kings are gone, and the lionesses, though grieving, move forward. For this is the way of the wild, and even sorrow must yield to survival. In the weeks that follow, Toka and his brothers cement their reign. Their scent marks the borders. Their roars thunder across the plains. No challenger dares approach, not yet. But their rule is not one of tyranny. Toka brings presence, not chaos. Kayla guards the river paths with quiet strength. Maru plays with the younger lionesses, his scars fading beneath a sense of calm. And Dari learns the pulse of the pride, the subtle cues, the unspoken rhythms, the shared silences. The Mbali pride adjusts. The cubs, those born after the takeover, will never know the kings before. To them, Toka will always be the lion who ruled the sky. Kayla, the protector who stood like a boulder against the wind. Maru, the playmate. Nadari, the silent watchman. In time, the lionesses begin to soften. They rest nearer the males. They share kills. They allow the touch of affection. And in that, trust is built, not given. Seasons shift, rain returns. The savannah erupts into color. Grasses springing green, herds returning with clumsy calves and bright eyes. Life pulses again. The Mbali pride flourishes, its numbers growing, its hunts coordinated, its rhythm restored. But beneath it all, the rogues remember. They remember the hunger of exile, the chill of solitude, the weight of dust on forgotten fur. That memory fuels them, keeps them sharp, keeps them ready. For the wild never rests, and power never holds without a price. One evening, as the sun sets behind a curtain of golden clouds, Toka climbs the same ridge Rondo once patrolled. He looks over the land, not as a conqueror, but as a steward, a guardian of balance, a creature, bound by fate, history, and the endless song of survival. He does not roar. He does not pose. He simply stands. As dusk embraces the savannah, the wind carries not whispers this time, but reverence. It begins with a scent, faint, foreign, but unmistakable. Kayla lifts his head from the carcass of a wildebeest, nostrils twitching. The meat is fresh, the kill, recent. Yet his focus is elsewhere. The air carries something old, something dangerous. Another lion, not one of them. Not a lioness, not a cub. A male, alone, but bold enough to be close. The Mbali territory, once silent under rogue rule, now quivers with a disturbance. Not yet a challenge, not yet a fight, but the first ripple of something. Waiting in the dark, Toka arrives minutes later. He doesn't speak, he doesn't need to. He sniffs the same air, feels the same shift. This is not just a wanderer, it's a scout. Somewhere beyond the boundary, unseen eyes are watching, measuring, waiting. Not all exiles find a pride. Some become ghosts of the grasslands, drifting between danger and opportunity. And some wait for empires to weaken. The rogues, now rulers, know this better than anyone. They were those ghosts once. The next morning, the scent is stronger. Tracks in the mud confirm it. Two lions moving together, keeping low, circling the Mbali fringe. They don't roar. They don't mark. That is the clearest sign of all. They are planning something. That night, Maru does not return from patrol. The pride waits beneath a starless sky. Silence falls like a veil. Only the wind speaks, brushing through the acacia leaves in whispers. Then, just before dawn, a roar. Short, choked, distant. Then nothing. When Indari finds him, Maru is alive, but barely. His body is torn, ribs visible beneath streaks of crimson. His leg is mangled, his eye swollen shut. The attackers had struck with surgical cruelty, vanishing before help could come. They had a message, and it had been received. Toka stands over his brother's body, trembling not from fear, but rage. Beneath his fur, the fire of their old life rekindles. He has seen this before. He knows what comes next. The rogues are being hunted by their own kind, and not just any lions. These are tacticians, predators of predators. They do not seek dominance through spectacle. They seek it through pressure, wounds, loss, time. Over the next week, the pressure builds. Kills are stolen before the pride reaches them. Cubs are stalked during the lioness's hunts. Border markers are erased overnight. The wind carries taunting scents. The trees, claw marks. The night silence. And then another strike. Ziva, a young lioness just coming into her prime, vanishes with her cub. A trail of blood leads north. Kayla follows it, fury blazing. But he finds only the remnants of a kill and deep claw prints etched in the mud. These lions do not seek a fair fight. They seek to break the pride before the battle even begins. Toka calls his brothers to the ridge that evening, the same place where he first laid eyes on Mbali from the shadows. Now he looks down again, not as a dreamer, but as a king under siege. They form a plan, not to retaliate, but to endure, to last longer than the ghosts stalking them, to keep the pride alive through patience, defense, and vigilance. The lionesses adapt quickly. They rotate shifts, keeping constant watch over the cubs. Hunts are smaller, faster, tighter. No lioness ventures far from cover. Every kill is eaten quickly. Every scent is checked twice. But the stress takes its toll. Cubs cry more often. Lionesses snap at one another. Food is scarce. Sleep is light. This is not life. This is siege. Still the rogues endure. Toka patrols nightly, his paws blistered from distance, his roar hoarse from repetition. Kayla guards the dens like a living boulder. Indari sets traps, false scents, broken branches, misleading trails. They become phantoms once more. They become the rogues they were before the throne, but the enemy does not relent. One night, Kayla is ambushed at the river's edge. He survives, but barely. His face is torn, his flank ripped open. Toka finds him hours later, trembling under a ledge, blood pooling beneath him. It takes all three brothers to drag him home. Toka's rage finally breaks. He roars, a sound of war, not warning, a summoning. Across the savannah, it rings. Deep, bitter, heart-wrung, and it is answered. From the northern ridge a roar returns. Then another, two voices, brothers, enemies, and then a silence, a promise. We are coming. The Mbali lionesses gather their cubs. The tension in the air is no longer fear, it is inevitability. They have seen this before. Kings rise, kings fall. Blood waters the soil where power shifts, but this time they are not passive. Zara steps forward, the elder, the unyielding. She joins the patrols, and others follow. Toka sees it. He feels it. And he knows. This fight is not his alone. It never was. The pride stands with him. For what is a lion without his pride? Just another rogue. The night before the final clash, the savannah is unnaturally quiet. No hyenas cackle. No owls call. Even the insects still their song. The stars, countless above, seem to lean closer. Something is about to change. The enemy will come at dawn. That much is certain. They will strike where it hurts, where they already have. But this time, the rogues are ready, the ground is marked, the wind is mapped. Every paw, every claw, every breath is braced. Toka lies beside Kayla, whose wounds are healing but raw. Nidari keeps watch, eyes glinting in the dark. They do not speak. There is nothing left to say. They have faced exile. They have claimed power. Now they must defend it, not with fear, not with fury, but with fire. The sky begins to pale, and somewhere far off, a roar splits the morning. The sky bleeds gold as dawn breaks across the savannah. But beneath its beauty lies the beat of war. The sun rises slowly, each ray stretching across the horizon like the fingers of time. Trees cast long shadows. Birds flee the silence. And on the northern ridgeline, two figures appear. They are lions, large, battle-worn, unblinking. Their manes ripple in the wind like fire through the grass. Toka sees them first. He does not move, he does not speak. He simply watches. These are not young upstarts. They are not lost wanderers. They are kings in waiting, brothers, as he and Kayla once were, and they have come to take what they believe is theirs. Their names are unknown to the Mbali pride, but their presence is unforgettable. One has a torn ear and eyes the color of storm clouds. The other walks with a limp, but every step carries fury. They descend slowly, deliberately, as if the land itself yields to them. Their path is marked with the scent of old kills, broken thorns, and silent challenge. Behind them, silence trails like a cloak. Toka moves down from the ridge. Kayla, still limping, walks beside him, and Dari joins without a word. They are three again, scarred, hardened, unafraid. The lionesses watch from a distance, hidden among the brush, shielding the cubs with their bodies, their eyes locked on the battlefield to come. The space between the coalitions narrows. 20 paces, 15, 10, and then stillness. No growls, no snarls. Only eyes. Locked. Reading. Knowing. They are reflections of one another. What Toka and his brothers were, these invaders now are. Hungry, ambitious, willing to wait, wound, and win. But there is one difference. Toka has something to lose. The fight begins without warning. A blur of muscle. A roar that splits the wind, claws like curved knives, fangs seeking flesh. Toka lunges at the limping lion, jaws wide. They collide with the force of thunder. Dust erupts, blood spatters. Kila charges the larger one, despite his wounds, despite his pain. He barrels into him like a freight of fury, knocking him off his paws. Ndari circles, watching, waiting. The savannah trembles. The lionesses flinch, but do not flee. They remain close, guarding their own, holding the line. The battle is not choreographed. It is not elegant. It is chaos. Claws tear, teeth shred, roars shake the sky. Toka lands blow after blow, but the limping lion fights with desperation. He twists beneath Toka's weight, ripping flesh from his shoulder. Toka stumbles, and in that instant the tide shifts. But Ndari is there. He strikes from the side, driving his fangs into the flank of the limping lion, dragging him back. Toka regains his footing, blood running down his chest. Kila, meanwhile, is locked in a brutal stalemate with the second invader. They tumble through thorns, rolling, biting, grunting. The larger lion pins Kela, fangs at his throat. But Kela roars with everything left in him and shoves upward, claws sinking deep into his enemy's ribs. The lion howls, backs off, staggers. And in that moment, Toka strikes. He launches at the wounded invader, jaws wide, and clamps down on the nape of his neck. There is a horrible crack. The lion goes limp. One down. The other, seeing his brother fall, hesitates. For the first time since this siege began, fear gleams in his eyes. Kela, panting, bleeding, rises, and the three rogues surround him. He has a choice, fight or flee. But he does neither. He roars, a sound not of defiance, but of grief, and then he runs into the trees, into the wind, into exile. The echoes of his roar fade with distance, and the battlefield grows still. Toka lowers his head. His mane is soaked in sweat and blood. His muscles tremble, not with fear, but with fatigue. Kela limps to his side, collapsing beside him. Ndari stands tall, chest heaving, eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of return. There is none. The invaders are gone. The rogues, once exiles, have defended their throne. But it has come at a cost. The ground is slick with blood. The trees are marked with claw and fang. The air is heavy with the scent of battle. And yet, above it all, life goes on. The sun climbs higher. The breeze shifts, and from behind the brush the lionesses emerge. Zara leads them. Behind her, the cubs. They look not with fear, not with awe, but with pride. Toka rises slowly. The blood on his mane has begun to dry. His eyes meet Zara's. No words are spoken, but a bond is sealed. They have not just survived the reckoning. They have earned the right to reign. Later that evening, as the sun melts into the western horizon, Toka climbs once more to the top of the ridge. Alone this time. Below him lies the kingdom, bruised, battered, but standing. Behind him, Kela and Ndari rest among their pride. Safe. Whole. Home. He closes his eyes, and in the silence a memory stirs. Of dust, of hunger, of exile, and now, of legacy. Because the story of the rogues was never just about conquest. It was about what came after. The battles they chose, the pain they bore, the life they protected, the pride. As darkness falls, Toka opens his mouth and roars, not for dominance, not for war, but for peace. For every fallen lion, for every cub yet to rise, for every exile still wandering beneath the stars. It is the sound of survival, the sound of a king. Time flows like a hidden river, silent, steady, eternal. Seasons shift across the Mbali plains. Rains come and go, flooding the lowlands and greening the ridges. Thunder rumbles across the sky, and lightning dances on distant hills. The dust of battles past has settled. What remains is life. And from the ruins of war, the pride begins to heal. Kala limps still, but his body thickens with strength. His wounds, once raw and red, fade into proud scars, marks of a warrior who stood firm. Dari, once the quiet watcher, now moves among the lionesses with calm assurance. Cubs trail him like shadows. His strength is no longer only in his fangs, but in his presence and Toka. He watches it all unfold from the hills, not above them, not apart from them, but within them. The Mbali pride has changed. It has grown. It has endured. New cubs are born beneath the thick river reeds, their cries soft against the breeze. The lionesses nurture them fiercely, knowing now the cost of peace. The scent of milk mingles with the scent of rain on dust. A generation of survivors raises a generation of hope. But Toka knows what few others understand. Peace is not stillness. It is a fire that must be fed, watched, guarded. So he walks the territory, not with the restless steps of an exile, nor the heavy steps of a king burdened by crown, but with the quiet purpose of a guardian. Every acacia tree, every dry gully, every sun-warmed rock, he knows them all, not as boundaries, but as part of the story. Their story, the rogues who became rulers, the pride who chose them, the legacy they now protect, and the wild, unforgiving, magnificent, untamed whispers. There is always danger. There are always rivals. But not all threats wear claws. The rains bring abundance and with it complacency. Buffalo herds return in larger numbers. Zebra dot the plains like scattered stars. The hunt is easier, the bellies fuller. But full bellies can dull the edge of memory. Toka does not forget, so he leads patrols not out of habit but heritage. He teaches the young males how to stalk wind, how to listen to silence, how to recognize a shadow that doesn't belong. He shows the cubs how to stand in the tall grass, not with fear, but with respect. Because the wild is not an enemy. It is a teacher, and it does not care for thrones or titles. It only honors balance. One evening, under a sky painted with fire-orange clouds, a lone lion appears on the far edge of the Mbali lands. Young, thin, scarred, eyes wide. He doesn't roar. He doesn't trespass. He waits. Toka watches from afar and remembers the weight of hunger, the bitterness of exile, the fire of hope. He does not approach the young male. Instead, he walks away. The pride is safe. The lines are drawn. But somewhere in that young lion's heart, the spark is lit, and thus the cycle begins again. Elsewhere, a lioness gives birth beneath the stars. Her cub is strong, its mane just beginning to grow, its eyes bright with curiosity. It stumbles through the grass, clumsy and bold. Zara watches, from a distance, her breath slow, her body aged but fierce. She has lived through the fall of kings, she has seen the rise of rogues, and now she watches the future take its first steps. One day that cub will ask stories, and they will tell them. Of the three brothers who came from the dust, of how they fought not for dominance, but for each other, of the blood that soaked the roots of Mbali, and of the roar that changed everything. Not every lion seeks power, not every exile seeks revenge, but every rogue, if they survive long enough, must choose to remain a shadow or to rise. The sun dips low, gilding the plains in gold. Toka lies beneath his favorite tree. His breathing is steady, his body, heavy, with years carries the weight of countless nights, hunts, storms, and victories. But his eyes, those amber sentinels, remain sharp. Across the savannah, a pride moves in perfect rhythm. Together, strong, untouched, for now, and in the wind, a whisper, this is your legacy, not in power, not in fear, but in what survives. As the final light fades, the stars emerge one by one. The grass sways in silence, the hyenas keep their distance, and the lions sleep, not as rogues, not as kings, but as legends. Time moves onward, indifferent and infinite. The Mbali plains stretch wide beneath an ever-turning sky. Rain will fall, droughts will return, generations will pass. Cubs will be born, and lions will vanish into the wind like dust. But some names never fade. In the far corners of the savannah, lions speak in low tones of three brothers who came from nowhere. Their story passes from mother to cub, from nomad to nomad. Not as myth, not as fable, but as truth. The rogues Toka, Kayla, and Dari. They were not born of royal blood. They had no throne waiting, no legacy to inherit, only the land, only the hunger, only each other, and that was enough. Their reign is etched not in bones or thrones, but in balance. They carved no empire. They left behind no tyranny. They ruled not through dominance, but through unity. What they protected outlived what they destroyed. They are remembered not as the fiercest, not even as the strongest, but as those who endured. In a world ruled by tooth and claw, that is the highest honor. Now when lions gather beneath a blood moon sky, when silence lingers after the last roar fades, young males lift their heads to the stars and wonder, could I rise too? Could I survive exile? Could I lead without fear? Could I protect something greater than myself? And the wind, whispering through the thorn trees, carries the same answer. You could, if you rise with purpose, if you rise together, if you rise not for power but for the pride, because in the end every lion's roar fades, but what it echoes into, that becomes legend.